Hello yogis, it's me Vicki. Well, I'm here today to offer you a hip opening and heart opening video. It's not a long video, but it's a very effective video. And it's shorter because I'm trying out my new camera and new microphone. So please let me know or give me some feedback, see if you can hear it okay and see it okay. And remind yourself that if you're new to watching my videos, that in the lower corner of your screen in a few moments there will appear my face, and if you hover over that with your mouse, you can certainly click on that to subscribe to my yoga channel. I offer videos, everything from a basic class for beginners all the way up to a little bit more advanced. So I do hope that you enjoy today's practice. We're going to start right away in child pose. And if you're able, let's take the big toes together at the back of the mat with the knees a little wider if that works for you. Allow your heart center to come down towards earth and the arms to be extended. Take a few breaths. So today, as you're breathing and settling in, letting the hips and the back start to open up a little bit in this child's pose. Perhaps allow a mantra to come into your practice. I'd like to offer you this one. Today I practice with ease to keep myself free from disease. Today I practice with ease to keep myself free from disease. Let's breathe a few more breaths, and if it will feel good to your body, a little swaying back and forth, maybe to open up the adductors a little bit. You can sway side to side if that will serve you. Reminding yourself to always listen to your body, to practice with ease. To back off of a posture if it's too much, or to add a little more if you don't have enough. 2 more breaths. Good. On your next inhale, float yourself up to table posture. Joints stacked over the joints. Take a breath or 2 here, keeping the toes flat. Let's see if we can lift the right knee up as a fire hydrant shape to get a little stretch into the hip there. And if you're able to sustain this, some little circles, reverse circles, and maybe 4 or 5, and then reversing the direction of those circles. You get some movement into the hip joint there. And then when you're ready, see if you can keep that leg lifted as high as you can. Maybe for 3 more breaths. Nice strong core here. Strong shoulders. 1 more. As you exhale, extend that leg out long here. Balance for a moment. And then we'll bring that leg across past the left shin. Place the ball of the foot on the ground, press the heel out, and shift your gaze over to that long leg, towards those toes. A little more pressure on the right hand and arm, wrist and shoulder. Good. Exhale, spin that leg back, bring it back to center. And now we'll take the left leg up to fire hydrant, the knee lifted, hip opened. Taking your circles, just maybe 4 or 5 in one direction. And then reversing, breathing. Lubricating our joints, these little circles. Now let's hold for 3 breaths. Nice strong yogis today, right? Smile on our face. Extending the leg out long. Balance here. Now let's bring that leg across past the right shin. Ball of the foot on the ground. Push the heel out. Shift your gaze towards that foot. Slowly back to center. Good. Let's go ahead and sink the hips back to hero's pose. Now you can bring your tailbone between your heels, or if your thighs are a little more open today, maybe your quad muscles a little more open and your knees are happy, you can just place your hands on your calves, roll them outward, and see if you can snuggle the hips down a little bit further into the earth. Let's bring our hands to heart, honoring this practice. Head bowed. Today I will practice with ease to keep myself free from disease. We'll inhale up to a kneeling mountain. Hands come directly behind the back. Shift the hips forward. Find a small, gentle camel. 3 breaths. Starting to open the muscles of the chest now. We're counter working the muscles that are always so tight from our computers, our devices, unfortunately. So we counterpose them. We work this way to stretch. Come back to center, and again, melt yourself back down into that hero's. Let's come forward back to table when you're ready. And this time walk the hands out to puppy pose, leaving hips over knees. Arms are long, heart center drawn down to the earth. Give yourself a nice stretch here. Exhale and drop the forearms, drop the elbows, tuck the toes, and then shift the weight back into forearm plank, pushing your heels back, stretching through the calves, but also stretching through the arches in the feet. So as if the forearms were pulling the mat forward, the balls of the feet are pulling the mat back. Sort of a little play on opposites here. Taking a few more breaths. 1 more. Slowly, carefully drop your knees. Place the toes flat. Place the hips down onto the ground, and we'll slide our hands back to chest horizontal. Inhale, find your cobra pose. And we're taking a longer hold here. Breathing. Feel where your breath is situated right now. Identify it. Exhale down, pause. And inhale back up again. Same thing. Keeping free from disease, that's what yoga's all about. So many benefits of the shapes that we make. Exhale down. Now pause here, take a break, or if you can do one more, we'll come right on back to that cobra again. Taking a few more breaths, strengthening our upper back, opening those chest muscles, opening the heart, opening the lungs. Exhale down. Good. Now inhale, gentle tiny cobra. Exhale, child pose. All the way back. Melt into that Balasana for a few breaths. Little counter pose, opening the back. So we're keeping the knees now hips distance apart. Let's see if we can walk the hands back toward the knees enough that we can start to tuck the toes again. Right, so we're working to get back onto the balls of the feet. Now, if you're able, see if you can perhaps touch your opposite heels, if that works. And some might be able to come right into a camel once again from here. If that doesn't work, place your hands on your low back like we did before. Holding this now a little bit longer. Opening up the biceps of the arms, the shoulders. Getting a little deeper into the ribs, into the low belly. Finding just a little bit more space. Remind yourself that you're practicing with ease. So if this is too much, back off. If you need more, go a little deeper. Hips a little bit more forward. 2 more breaths. Good. Now if your hands are on your heels, bring them back to the low back. Slowly bring yourself to neutral. Place your toes flat. And we'll bring the hands back down to find our table again. Situate your table joints over joints and find a cat back, a gentle one, counterposing your camel. Let's release that for a moment and try another one. Cat back. Nice big exhale here. Good, release. On this one, let's tuck the toes and find our first downward facing dog as we shift the hips back, resituate the hands if needed. Move around if you need to. Work the pose until you find that you're able at some point to bring your feet approximately hips distance apart. Take a few breaths in stillness. Hips lifted, heels pressing down. Notice the benefits of the pose, the big stretch through the hamstrings, the calves, shoulders. Feeling your breath through the whole body here. Let's lift our right leg to 3-legged dog. We're coming right back into a fire hydrant hip opener. So moving right back into that, let's circle that hip again. So we did this before in another shape. Now we're doing it from down dog. And make sure you go in both directions on this. Good, and then just keeping that knee up nice and high, that hip opened. Big movement here as you close this. Keep the knee bent. Square the hips. Then shift that right foot directly up to the outside of the right hand. Let the heel come onto the mat, the toes off for lizard. Let's keep this back knee up for those that can. Lower it if you need to. Breathing, shoulders stacked over wrists. As an option, you can tilt onto the edge of the foot, exposing the sole of your foot, and maybe 1 or 2 of you watching this video might place that right hand on the thigh, pressing open gently. Little twist here. One more breath. Exhale, release that hand down. Let's go ahead and slide that foot to the center of the mat so that the hands are framing it, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. Breathing here. Remind yourself to let the breath settle after you're in a shape, a pose, so that the body can prepare for the next one. Let's inhale, lift the left leg to three-legged dog. And again, we'll go into this hip opener here, just like we did on the other side. Let's circle the hip and circle the knee. A few times in one direction and then a few times in the other direction. Then just hold here, practicing with ease, right? Freeing from disease. These joints need lubrication. That's why we're doing all these circles today. I am filming this in the cold winter, so we need even a little more then, right? Let's close that hip, keep the knee bent, and shift the foot up here to the left hand, outside the left hand, heel onto the mat, toes off. We'll keep the right leg straight for lizard here. If you need to, you can always drop that back knee. Some will open the hip by exposing the sole of the foot, rolling onto the edge of the foot, maybe even taking that left hand onto the thigh. Shifting your gaze past your shoulder, a little twist. Taking another breath, practicing with ease. Exhale, bring the foot flat, the hand down. Let's walk that left foot to the center of the mat, and we'll go ahead and find runner's lunge here, just a breath or two. And we'll exhale back to downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. On your next inhale, slowly drop the knees back down. We're walking back to hero's pose again. And again, using the hands on the calves if you need to, if you want to go a little bit deeper here. Hands to heart. Breathing. Stay here or take this hero's pose a little further by bringing your hands next to your pinky toes, maybe coming down onto your forearms. Breathing. So stretching the front of your body here. If you would like to try coming all the way down onto your back, you can, or you can stay here. Please be mindful that it might be helpful to hold onto your feet if you're doing that. The arms can be placed overhead. Breathing. Practicing with ease. Keep ourselves free from disease. One more breath. If your arms are way overhead and you're flat on your back, bring the hands back to the feet, up to forearms, or elbows, I should say. Then back to hands. Coming all the way back to your table. Take your cat back here and pause. Tucking toes, shifting the weight back, downward facing dog. Let's keep this going now by moving into a warrior here. Warrior poses, open hips. We'll be moving into Virabhadrasana 2. That's our warrior 2. Let's inhale the right leg to three-legged dog. Bend the knee and step the foot between the hands for runner's lunge. Take that back foot, spin it, lining the heels up, finding warrior 2. Taking a few breaths there. Good. Now can we straighten the front leg? Let's turn the palms to face forward here. Slide that front arm forward for triangle setup here. And then we'll just let those arms shift. Find your 6 o'clock arms. Take a couple breaths. So if you hear a cat meowing, then that means my audio is working well. There are 2 cats in the room with me here. Let's inhale, lift up, and back to warrior 2. Good, we'll bring the hands to heart. Now let's bring this front leg to straightness, bring the toes back around. Toes are facing me here. And we'll turn the opposite foot, finding warrior 2 on the other side. Very simple here. Very simple. Imagine someone coming up right to the front of you and rolling your thighs open a little bit more. Breathing. Practicing with ease, free from disease. Shift the palms forward, straighten out that front leg, and we'll lean towards that opposite wall for triangle, releasing the arms. Breathing. Just allowing some stacking of the body, the hips and the shoulders should feel as if they're in the same plane, right? On your next breath, inhale, lift up and back to warrior 2. Bringing the hands back to the heart center and straightening out that front leg, bringing the feet around. Let's bring the arms behind us. You can clasp the hands here, or you can slide your hands together, the palms together for reverse prayer hands. Hands behind your back that way. Inhale here and exhale. Come forward to a flat back. Stretch out the legs, shift the weight to the heels. And when you're ready, let yourself bow all the way down here, dropping the head. You can keep your hands where they are, or you can release them to the ground. Take a few more breaths. Let's all release the hands to the ground if you haven't already. Now can we turn the toes out from where we are, lift up your head a little bit, walk the hands over to the right foot, bend that knee. You might have to come up onto the ball of the foot. Find your God of War pose as you spin that opposite knee up into the air, toes in the air. Release that, toes are still diagonal, hands come to the other foot. Lift that supporting heel if needed, spin that opposite leg up. Let's come back and move a little faster from one side to the next, as if you're crawling along your mat a little bit here. Opening the legs and the hips just a little bit more. Keeping ourselves free from disease, right? And practicing with ease. One more each side. So we'll end up in the center, back to where we started. Let's toe heel in. Just a little wider than hips. Keep the toes on diagonal, bend the knees. Prayer squat is the pose. Our malasana. Hands to the heart, elbows to the inside of the knees, maybe bowing your head here. Honor your practice. Honor the fact that you're practicing at home or in a place where you're looking at this video. And honor the fact that you are doing this for yourself, keeping yourself free from disease. Practicing with ease. 2 more breaths. Let's lower the hands and we'll go ahead and straighten the legs here so we're in a little bit of a wide forward fold. Let's walk the feet in so we're in a regular forward fold. This is our first forward fold today, so enjoy it. Relax here. You might want to use your peace fingers to scoop up your big toes, bring the chest towards the thighs, and bring the elbows out to the sides. One more breath. As you release, hands back on the mat, one by one, drop each knee down. So you're in a table position facing me. And then just turn back to your regular table position. Let's come back to puppy pose one more time. Stretch it out, heart towards the ground. Dropping the forearms, tucking the toes, back to forearm plank for 3 breaths. Keeping our core strong. Remember that all of our yoga poses are fueled from the core of the body, everything from shoulders to hips. The arms, the legs are just appendages that make shapes. So we keep our core strong in poses like forearm plank. Now let's drop the knees, slowly drop your hips down, and we'll take the arms behind us, bending your knees. If you can reach your feet, grab them. If you cannot, leave your hands back there. And when you're ready, we'll find bow pose, lifting anything off the mat that you can lift. Drawing the legs together, towards each other as much as you can. Taking a few breaths. Keeping the lungs strong, keeping the chest stretched. Keeping the heart center open. One more breath. Exhale, release. Hands next to the chest. Legs are long, toes flat. And when you're ready, inhale to upward facing dog. Strong bodies, strong minds. Practicing with ease. 2 breaths. Slowly drop your knees. Slide back into child pose. Take a little break. So we will be moving onto our back to complete our practice. One way to get there is to shift yourself back to table. Cross the feet. Sit down and then bring the legs out. And you could, if you need to, move up a little bit. As you can see, I'm too far back on my mat. And then we'll just extend the leg, roll ourselves back, knees to chest. Sway a little bit here. See how you feel. Practicing our yoga with ease. Let's bring our arms to a T and drop the knees to one side. It doesn't matter if you go left or right. We'll get into a little twist here. Trying to keep both shoulders down. Relax your neck. You might even want to turn your head away from your legs. Taking another breath or two. Bringing the head back. Use your core muscles to bring those legs back to center. And exhale them over to the opposite side. Just melting into a twist in the other direction. The head can turn. One or two more breaths. And then again, use the core muscles to bring those knees back. Now we'll slowly bring the feet to the ground. I'm going to offer a bridge pose for you or a wheel pose. Some of you might find you're perfectly open enough for wheel because of all the work we did on heart opening. Whichever one you do, flatten the feet, keep the knees bent, Hips distance apart, hands to your sides. If you're doing wheel, they will be next to your ears as you press up. We want to keep those elbows in. And then shifting, remember, if you're in wheel, to shift forward a little bit. So if you're looking down, you're basically seeing your wrists. See if you can take 3, 4, or even 5 breaths here in your wheel or bridge. Excellent for the flexibility of the spine. A flexible spine is a healthy body. 1 more breath. If you're in wheel, remind yourself to carefully exit, tucking the chin, drop the head, and then slowly bring the rest of the body down. Gently knees to chest. So we'll end the sequence for those that would like to try their shoulder stand. Now, if you're not doing shoulder stand, just lift the legs in the air. If you are doing shoulder stand, you'll have to lift the hips up. Support yourself by holding your hands around your waist, fingers supporting the lower back. The legs are perpendicular to your ceiling. If you have a flat ceiling in the room, then you can check in there. If you don't, just look up and just see if those legs are relatively perpendicular, right? So the pressure on your shoulders and your spine here is excellent for thyroid health. So that spot on the back of your spine, that vertebrae that we're pressuring there, is helpful to keep the thyroid healthy in check, keeping us free from any thyroid disease. Practicing our shoulder stand with ease. Now you can stay here, or you can shift to plow pose, our halasana pose, by bringing the legs over the head, toes to the ground, or ball of the foot to the ground. You can stay supporting your back, or if your toes are all the way to the ground solidly, you can let go there. And again, still feel that pressure on the lower part of the cervical vertebrae there. Breathing. Again, a balancing of the thyroid. This is excellent as well for throat health. Our 5th chakra, center of communicating. Let's take a couple more breaths. When you're ready to exit your plow pose, let's bring our hands back to the back. Bend the knees into your forehead there. Pause for a moment. And then again, we're practicing with ease today. So as you roll down, release your arms. Take it slowly, a couple of vertebrae at a time to roll yourself down. And when you get all the way down, let's extend the legs long. Keep the legs very close together, touching if you can. Let your big toes touch, and flex your feet. Bring your arms close to the body for a fish pose. When you're ready, a little pressure into the elbows as you lift your chest high. Drop the crown of the head to the ground as if you're looking behind you. Breathe. Counterposing our shoulder stand, our inversion. Keeping our nervous system healthy with our fish pose. 1 or 2 more breaths. Carefully lift the head, place it back down. Please feel free to shift around until you find a comfortable place for Shavasana. You might let your heels come to the corners of the mat and your arms to your sides. Take a few breaths, allowing yourself to feel comfort with the ground underneath you. So I won't be staying with you for the entire Shavasana today, so feel free to simply turn your device off and offer yourself at least 4 minutes to stay here. Let the benefits of these heart-opening shapes and the hip-opening shapes just fill your body, fill your spirit with that release that we get when we do a heart and hip opening. I invite you to come back to this video as many times as you need to, maybe even once every other week or so, to get these benefits of the lubrication around the hip joint, the strength in the supporting muscles of the hips, and the stretch in the chest muscles to counterwork our devices, our posture. So thank you for joining me today. Let your breath just be nice and shallow and calm. Let your eyes drift closed. Thank you. Keep yourself free from disease. And as you step off your mat, practice your life with ease. Namaste.